Peace. Welcome back to the Black Philosophical Society. Thought it was a good idea to come outside and do a video, but I didn't anticipate this heat going down out here right now. Normally, I don't like hearing black people complain about heat. I think that shit sound crazy most of the time. But bruh, shit different right here. Hot Atlanta is living up to his name right now. Oh man, it go a little breeze. Won't he do it? But yeah, it's like my wife was telling me about an African lady who said that it's not the heat, it's that y'all don't have no air. Y'all ain't got no air down here. And that's exactly what it is. We ain't got no motherfucking air, man. Not enough wind. It's too humid. Like the humidity out here today, it's another level. Like I literally, it's hard to breathe out here. I feel like I'm in a fucking tank, like some kind of humidity tank. That little breeze was great just then. That's the first breeze that came by since I've been out here. But I'm gonna thug it out, man. I'm gonna try to get through this one because I've been wanting to do this. This one needs to be done. It's top 5 stupid things that theists say. All right. If you've been in this shit long enough, in the apologetics world or the counter apologetics world, then inevitably somebody is going to bring up morality, right? The topic of morality is going to come up. More than likely, a theist is going to bring it up. It's usually going to happen while they're getting their ass whipped in a debate. Somebody bringing up things in the Bible that their God did that seems atrocious to us, right? Something that would go against our morals and values as humans. And so after a while, when they can't explain these things in the Bible, they just start saying, well, what about, where do you get your morality? What's your basis for morality? What standard are you using to judge God? How do you determine what's good and evil with your subjective human morals? That's the type of shit they're gonna say, right? Some of us have heard it many times before. So let's break that shit down. What I noticed is a lot of these people don't even really know what subjective and objective means when it comes to morality. Right? Can't use your colloquial definitions or your common sense understanding of words. You got to learn philosophical definitions. What does it mean in the context of philosophical discussion when we say subjective and objective? So I contend, what I always bring up to the theists, what many people have, is that you do not have objective morality. You merely pretend like you do. But further than that, it's already wrong for theists to presume that just because you're a non-believer, that you automatically have subjective morality. Because there are non-theistic models of morality that can be objective. You can have an objective framework without God. I've heard people appeal to human nature, for example. But I'm not going to get into none of those arguments, though. I don't think it matters, right? Because no theist has established that something is wrong merely because it's subjective, or that something is right because it's objective, right? Yeah, that hasn't been established. They would need an argument to establish that. So it doesn't even matter to me. That's what I'm saying. Just bringing up that it's your morality is subjective and it's just based on your opinions. First of all, it's silly to even be talking about morality if we're not going to talk about humans' opinions. Like, that's what morality is, essentially. All morality is the shared opinions of a group of people, right? A society, a community, whatever the case may be. When y'all come together and y'all share a certain amount of values, those become the morals of this group. I know theists would love to make it more than that. You want to pretend like it's more than that, but you can't establish that it's more than that. You have to first establish that there is this lawgiver, that this lawgiver exists before you can establish that he gives a law. But beyond that, like I said, subjective simply means mind dependent or subject to a mind. Like they said, it's based on our opinions, right? And they seem to think because they can change, because your opinions can change over time and depending on the culture or society, that's what makes them wrong or inferior to objective morals, which do not change, right? Regardless of the circumstance. And I think a good argument could be made for why that is not superior to subjective morality. Circumstances should be taken into consideration, right? It's part of the problem with religion as a whole, the rigidity of it, its unwillingness to change, its resistance to change, even though it does. And even theistic morality has changed and evolved over time. They try to pretend like it doesn't, right? Just games they play, right? But yeah, so objective is just the opposite of that. It's mind independent and not subject to a mind or not subject to a mind. So it don't matter what people think. It just is what it is. But the problem with that is God has a mind. And they're saying morality is subject to God's mind, which makes it mind dependent, therefore subjective by definition. So what y'all arguing for is just another tier of subjective morality. You just took subjectivity to another level. It's not subject to what you think or believe. It's subject to what you think God believes and wants. That's the only difference. So if you're what they really are trying to say is that it's outside of the human mind. It's not subject to human what humans want and what humans think or believe. So it's not subjective in that way. Pardon. And if that's all you mean by subjective, then I can definitely have a objective framework without God. My mother is outside of myself. So if my mother declares it, is that now objective? If morality is subject to my mother's mind or my grandmother's mind or the government's mind or the president or my pastor, I don't know what that was. Now I have a form of objective morality. And if you say, no, 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 it can't be a human, then you need to explain what's the difference. Why are you not just special pleading? Why can't I just have a human outside of myself or an entity Back up, man. I'm gonna fuck you up. An entity outside of myself, because I could say the government is not a human. Why does it have to be a, a figment of my imagination or something that I can't see? What? Why? You need an argument to establish why it's necessary that it be non-human in order for it to be objective. If that's what you mean by objective, right? That it's just outside of yourself. That's really all y'all be saying. So I think I broke that shit down. You have, by definition, you got subjective morality. But if you want to change it to something else, it just means it's outside of yourself, then anybody can do that. We can all have objective morality. You don't want to go start infinite regress of where does this person get their morality from? Where does your mom get her morality from? Where does grandma get her morality from? Where does the government get their morality from? Where does God get his morality from? You just going to beg that question if you want to take it down that path. And you're going to say, well, morality comes from God. It flows from his being, his nature. And I'll just say the same thing about my mother or grandma. You want to be careful not to open yourself up to the Euthyphro dilemma. That's what you're going to get into if you want to start talking about goodness or morality coming from God's nature. I don't think y'all ready for that yet. Something for you to marinate on. If you think you got objective morality, tell me how. How is your morality not mind independent? Mind dependent, pardon us. What is it dependent on? Somebody I was talking to recently thought that meant it's arbitrary when I say that. That is subject to change. Like God's morality is not subject to change. Fine, I never said that at any time. It's not necessary for it to be subjective. All it has to do is be subject to a mind. God's mind qualifies. It's not part of the definition that it needs to be a human mind. That's something y'all are adding in there. To try to make your morality objective when it's not. So if you're going to be intellectually honest, and we all on the same playing field, it's all subjective. I argue we all get our morality from the same place. The society in which we live in, our parents, people around us, things we're taught. These just make up another layer. We pretend like their morality don't come from the same place everybody else's does. If you're going to go with that, you're going to need to be able to demonstrate it. Otherwise, it's just talk. This is why sophisticated theists, philosophically savvy theists, they don't really bring up that morality shit. They know better. They know that that's not going to get you anywhere. They know that that's not a logically sound argument to make. It's only you babies out there crying, saying the same shit. Goo-gooing and gaga-ing out there. So, look into this shit. Don't believe me. Check it out. Think while you still can. Peace.